Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Gabriel Brent, and we are going to be starting with the Epizone Swing Pub here. So let's just give you a little idea of some of the assumptions that we come in today with, and basically how today's going to flow. So we're going to be looking over all these different markets here on our market analyzer. And for each market, we have the Epizone's Elite trend following system giving us a good indication of what's going on in each one of these markets, where we're looking at, and what we need to be looking for. So as we dive down into each one of these markets, it's just going to be highlighting some of the areas of supply and demand, support and resistance that we use in our trend following system here at Epizone. So we are using a weekly, daily, and 60-minute, sometimes 240. 240-minute or 4-hour chart as we're looking at all these different instruments, and we're just going to go from a top-down perspective. So let's go ahead and get started here on the Aussie CAD. On the Aussie CAD, you can see that we are retesting the demand side of things here. We look like we're coming into daily and weekly demand. All right, so as we open up you can see that we've bounced off this level a couple times. Well, I should say this is the second time that we're bouncing off of this level. What's going to happen next? That is a really, really good question. So as I look at that, I could see a possible counter trend play working out because, well, let's face it, read the text for yourself there, So but this would be an extreme counter trend type of play if we were to do something on that. The trend is still down according to the Elite software, and if we are going to be doing a counter trend play, then I recommend small stops and small targets. You don't know for sure that this thing is going to work out here, and it's a little, in my mind, presumptuous to be jumping on the long boat just yet. Okay, so if this daily candle finishes out as a nice hammer, there may be something there, but you still want to wait for confirmation that price is respecting that. Moving right along, I'm actually going to switch things over here to my partner in crime, William. He is a Epizone's member, and why don't you go ahead and take the AJ for?
All right, hello everybody. I'm William. I'm going to talk about the Aussie yen. Take a look at the weekly chart here. Here we are on the weekly on the Aussie yen. We can find ourselves down back in demand. And it seems to be we're in a period of consolidation for the past 3 weeks on this level here, trying to figure out if we're going to bounce off of it or continue down through it. But the overall trend's down, and we're back down off of the weekly supply, back down to weekly demand again. So let's take a look at the daily and see what's going on. Here we are on the daily. You can see how we've been playing in this daily brown zone, this daily demand zone, basically in the area of chop here. So I think the market is trying to come to a decision point here. We're going to break out and head back to the top of the range, or we're going to continue down through this zone and continue to the downside. Just waiting to see which scenario is going to play out for us. But yeah, we're just waiting to see what's going to happen. We're just waiting to see if we're going to pop in which direction we're going to pop once we break out of this consolidation here. And that's basically it. So I don't know if anybody out there is looking to enter on it. I don't know if we're going to pop to the downside or north side. What do you think, Gabe? I'm not sure what's going to happen next.
I don't think we can really say just yet, and I don't think it's, I mean, we know it's relatively low. Things on the daily and on the weekly are lining up for a possible pop to the upside in a counter trend way, but it's really too early to say that that's happened yet. So
yeah, I think we should just, I want to sit on my hands and wait to see what happens next. That's about basically all we can do. I mean, if you want to like kind of day trade this thing and scalp in this consolidation here, maybe you can take this back to the top of this range here, maybe, but other than that, I don't really see much you can do here. Pound New Zealand. You just entered on this market, huh, Gabe?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, there we go. Let's open the weekly up. Oh, I don't want to open all the way up for me. There we are. All right, here we are, pound New Zealand. You can see this thing was in a nice downtrend, and all of a sudden you got a nice pop. Look what happened, right? The flip-flopped off these highs and got a retracement back to the north side, and we're back in weekly supply again. Nice retracement. This thing was due for a nice retracement. Finally got it, and now we're back at weekly supply here. It's a fresh zone, so we might find some sellers. There we go. All right, here we are on the daily, and the uptrend's intact on the daily, but we're in this daily supply zone, this purple zone, or what? Yeah, whatever. Purple zone. Nice shooting star just formed today. So we could get a retracement out of here and find ourselves back down here in this daily demand zone. Yeah, I think we should I think we might find ourselves back down here in this daily demand zone here soon. It's a nice hammer candle. It's a nice indication that sellers stepping in, push this market back down in the zone. And then you see Gabe has an arrow drawn. I guess Gabe's waiting for his retracement back down in this zone so he can take it long again.
It's just on the uptrend, is according to our context chart. We're still looking to the upside, so see if this actually turns out to be a hammer candle or not today.
So,
even if it's a hammer candle, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going down right away.
Right.
So
just an indication, that's all. Yep. But yeah, if we find ourselves back down in this demand zone down here, then I would look to take it back to the north side, as Gabe has indicated by the blue arrow here. Looks like we're stuck in between these two weekly zones. Price is back in the weekly supply again. Let's see if we get a reaction off of it and back down to weekly demand. Who knows? We might not. But this week's been an indecision week so far. The week hasn't finished out yet, but we'll see what happens. Okay, let's look at the daily and see what's going on with it. And as you can see, the range playing out here on the daily chart. Up, down, up, down, up, down, back up again. And we might find ourselves back down again soon, but who knows. We might bust through this zone and get back up to this level before we come back down if it decides to do so. But we're pretty high on the curve now, and if you're playing the trend as a range play, you want to look to enter short in one of these two zones when the signal presents itself back to the downside. So that's what I'll be waiting for. Let's see what plays out, but that's what I'll be waiting for in this market.
Right, and the overall trend is to the downside, so we know that we're pretty high on the range play as far as the range goes. So if this thing isn't going to break this daily level with any type of force, then, break it to the upside with any type of force here, then, we could easily be coming right back down again. So I think it's an important consideration as we're looking at all this, just to say, hey, we're at the top of the range, but we need to wait and make sure price is really going to do something substantial here, because the previous daily candle, look at how high that got to that, to the top of that zone. So it almost took it out. So could this just be a little small retracement and then even higher to the more extreme part of the range? Sure, And we have had a nice little trend line bounce here, okay, that you guys can all see, from the low to the higher low, and then right there. So that was our nice little trend line bounce, and we've seen it come back up here and retest the highs, okay. So I think that is very interesting. So I'm still waiting to see if we can't get a little bit higher, to be quite honest with you. Even though the overall trend is down, I would like to see it get a little bit higher, give us some indication that price is really going to respect this level to the downside before jumping on the downside. So That is what I'm looking for there. Now, moving over to the UJ. I like to shorten things up here just with the pairs, just to make
Right.
it nice and simple. So we've seen a flip-flop zone come into being for a second time here, as we've seen price come up here to weekly supply, or really, really close to it, but not quite touching it, all right? So because it hasn't quite touched it yet, I think it's important for us to stay out of the market and not look to the short side until it actually does touch it. So that is what I'm waiting for here. But I realize that we're putting in a lot of consolidation, and we've been kind of stuck in consolidation. We only got that one really good bounce to the upside, you know, and now we've just been kind of sitting and slowly meandering to the upside consolidation. But a lot of the bigger bars, which are these black or blue bars, depending on what they are. The big red bars are black with the methods, or excuse me, with the late software, while big green bars are blue. So you can see that we've had a lot of bigger red bars here lately. So I'm still thinking that we're just in consolidation and that we're going to retest up here a little bit and then find ourselves down at the bottom. So that is what I am technically preparing for on that pair. And I just have to wait for the right price action to tell me to do something. Over here on the GA, this I think is very, very interesting, where we have the weekly trend line drawn here. We're reaching for that weekly level, but we haven't quite hit it yet. So we identified this last week as a possible shorting opportunity up here, just because, well, it's forming right off the trend line, okay? And so we've dug just a little bit higher. Today we may be getting a nice candle to the downside, and opens us up to the shorting opportunity, basically pulling off the weekly trend line, okay? So as we see that trend line come into being here, we really haven't seen a good money bounce off of it. So I'm really curious to see what happens here, and I'm waiting for the confirmation to give me the short entry on this one. So I just gotta wait patiently on this one though. But it's getting close to prime time right now. So just got. Why don't you go ahead and take this market here, William?
All right. Okay, here we are. Aussie, was this Aussie Kiwi? And basically, we're back down to weekly demand, bouncing off of this weekly supply level, back down to weekly demand. Waiting to see if the market found buyers or not to send it back to the upside. Getting reaction right now all this week. Been another indecision week so far though. And as you can see, here we are on the daily. Come on, scroll over. What's going on with my mouse today, Gabe? Oh, there we go.
No.
Sometimes you have mouse problems too, huh? Yeah. All right. Here we are on the daily chart, and you can see where we're getting our reaction. Here, prices came to a halt, and basically in a period of consolidation. The trend is down, but also realize that we're basically in a big broad range. Yeah, you can see the big broad range playing out here. Been ever since last year in September or whatever. Maybe even before that, I don't know. Yeah. So we've been basically this range, the top of the range, formed July of last year. So it's been a whole year. Yeah, all right. Yeah, and now basically we're back at the bottom of the range again. So looks like we're getting a little signal here to go back to we might be going back to the upside here. It's consolidation. We could be seeing the initial beginning of the pop back to the upside here. See, we made a higher high today, came back down, but we might get another reaction to the upside, and then we get our pop back to the upside of the whole range play again. So that could be panning out here as we speak right now. Just waiting to see what happens. But Yeah, basically at the bottom of the range. We could be seeing ourselves going back to the top of the range here. Things been stuck in a range for a whole year, basically.
Yep.
So,
And you know what you well, when you're in range, just play the extremes of the range. So over here on the UC market, we have a retest of weekly supply, and I think this is pretty interesting as we've seen the big drop here. So on the daily, we've reloaded into this zone that we were talking about last week, and I really feel like this thing is going to fly back down to this level, to the daily level that we formed here a couple weeks ago. So that is what I'm looking for and anticipate seeing. And I think it's a matter of trying to jump on board this crazy thing as we're looking to the downside. So how do we get on board? Well, we just have to wait for the right pullback. Okay, that's what we need to do, and it's a pretty interesting market. If you're not already in this thing, which technically after seeing all that all those wicks up there in that zone, there is a good indication for a short here just a couple days ago. So if you're short, enjoy the ride. If you're not short yet, be looking for that zone pullback and see where that could fly over here on like the 60-minute levels. We can see that price has a little resistance zone here, so be on the lookout for price reloading into that level. And just have to wait and see how this thing rocks and rolls to the downside. Okay, looking at the AC market, we can see that we've touched weekly supply. Looks like we're coming down to weekly demand. On the daily time frame, it's just ugly. That's all that I have to say. Is yes, we've beaten some levels. We've reformed some some support into resistance right here, but it's just really choppy. And to be honest with you, I'm looking for good candles to be getting on the daily time frame. So for me, when it's kind of right here in the middle, in between daily and, or excuse me, in between weekly levels, and the daily just looks like this chop fest, it's really hard for me to want to do anything at this period, even though I have no reason to believe that we won't be going to the downside here. It's just hard to step into that market when it ranges like this, and as you can see, the elite says that we're in a range. It's just sometimes hard to find a good place to be entering that for that range play. So that's what I'm looking at right now as far as this market goes. Moving over here to the AU, same type of deal. We've retested weekly supply. Looks like we're coming back down, but we've retested a whole lot of, I shouldn't say that, but we've put in some messiness here in the middle. All right. Now the interesting thing about this is we have a couple daily demand zones to break through. Okay. And so you can see these support levels that have been bounced on. Well, this one's been bounced on. This one's fresh and new, but it looks like this could be an interesting area to maybe pop back up to the upside and then join the overall trend to the downside. So that's what I'm looking for. We just put in a inside candle yesterday. Looks like we're going to get an outside candle here today. And so there may be some magic happening there on to the upside. But the overall trend is to the down. So do you want to take the counter trend off of this level, or would you like to take the trend trade and see it accelerate to the downside? That's the question that we have to ask ourselves. Which way do we play it? Or do we play it both sides? That is a possibility if you have enough space on both sides. Why don't you take this one, William?
Euro pound. All right. See if my mouse will work. All right, it's working. All right, yeah, it's working. All right, here we are in the euro pound. Man, look at that thing just ripping to the north side before we got our retracement. But here we are on the euro pound, and we finally got our retracement off this weekly supply zone, about 2 months ago. Now we're heading back down. Yeah, we're starting a downtrend. Well, actually, we're in a downtrend. Let's see if we can get a retracement back up into this level and get another sell-off. But let's go to the daily and see what's going on. Here on the daily, you can see why price halted right here at this zone. Almost got to the zone, not quite, but almost. And this week we got a reaction basically off this zone here, back to the upside. Let's see if we can get in this daily supply zone, get another reaction off of it and back down. Gabe has illustrated with these blue arrows, check mark trade playing out, seeing if it does, looking to enter in this zone right here, back to the downside basically. So, pretty cut and dry market, basically looking to sell in this zone up in here. Join the trend to the downside. That's about it. New Zealand dollar. I cut my Skype off. I'm sorry, y'all. There we go. Here we are, New Zealand dollar. Here on the weekly, we formed the weekly supply zone. We're falling from it. Looks like we're going to come back down to weekly demand, this brown zone, and see what happens next. But right now, the trend is to the downside off of this weekly supply zone here, that fresh formed weekly supply zone.
The
here we are on the daily.
The interesting thing about this one is I feel like we've broken that channel line that I have drawn on here, but
yeah, most definitely.
It's kind of in a rollover state right now. And what I think is interesting about it is, it hasn't really, it's given us a lot of chop as we have broken outside of that channel. And it's, I mean, look at that daily zone. It's just holding right there, and it just is, it's having a world of, well, it's just having a really hard time breaking through it. So that doesn't really give me a whole lot of confidence to the downside right now, and I'm just wondering how much longer this could possibly take, which looking at historically, like this thing, look at those daily bars, like it stayed tight in this range for a long period of time. If we use the ruler tool, like that's just 41 days in a range, probably 42, I guess you could say. And that's just a long time for it to stay into a range. And this could be doing the same type of thing here. So, but all those candles are so small. I don't like it at all. Just personally. But yeah, I feel like it's gone below the channel line too, so.
Yeah, most definitely broke that channel. It's just trying to decide which direction if it wants to go back up or if it wants to continue to the downside. Me personally, I think it's going to continue to the downside because really, the dollar, fundamentally speaking, is still pretty strong. I think it's going to continue down. Plus, the New Zealand and Australian dollar are tied really close together, and they cut rates over in Australia not too long ago, so I think we're going to continue to the downside, fundamentally speaking. Just right now, we're just in a period of consolidation and waiting to take out these buyers before we can get our pop to the downside again. That's my personal thoughts on this market. I could be wrong, but I get the feeling it's going to continue down.
So then are you looking for something maybe like a pop-up in this area? Like maybe it fakes out everybody, pops up there, and then shoots to the downside?
Maybe, possibly. Of course we have to wait for that opportunity to present itself, but possibly, it could this fresh supply zone here could hold and we could get our reaction from it as well. So, you know, it just all depends. But, you know, obviously if we beat this zone, we beat this fresh aqua level, then yeah, I'll be looking to go short here. If we beat this level, then you know, maybe my theory was wrong, and we're gonna continue to the upside before we get a sell-off. But I feel like, I don't know, fundamentally speaking, the dollar's still strong, man. It's not, you know, it's been gaining strength for the past couple weeks. So, what they call it, sentiment. You know, the sentiment. I think this channel was sentiment. Now we're going to continue back to the downside as the dollar strengthens and continues on.
So I think we should check out this channel line then. And let's just,
Trend line to the downside.
I would like to draw a trend line to the downside, but this is
Steep. Yeah, it's
really steep, you know, but technically it meets the rules on how I like to draw a trend line, so it's just really steep there. So is that going to play out or not? I don't know. You know, like, and just seeing all this muck and mire right there, it's not that beautiful type of, you know, peak to peak type of trend line too. Just got to wait and see on this one. I would advise staying away from this market for right now, at least from my swing trade perspective. I don't like that at all. I think that's...
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, I don't like the current price action either, but, you know, if one of those two scenarios pan out that I was explaining earlier, then I would look to try to get on the short side.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So same type of thing is happening over here on the euro. You can see that we've just beaten weekly demand, and it has come outside the channel lines that we've drawn here. Because it's weak, it's beaten weekly demand, but it really hasn't beaten daily demand. Okay, so we still have a big daily zone that it could be receiving some reaction to. So I'm looking for some type of pop to the upside and then take it short. And I feel like this one's structured like 1,000 times better than what we see over there on the Kiwi dollar. It's just, this looks a whole lot better to me, you know.
Yeah, much cleaner.
Just waiting for the little check mark trade to play out, however that works there. So, but I want to thank everybody for joining us today. Hopefully it's been very insightful for everybody in the live audience. Please stay tuned and you can ask questions. And as always, we will be doing this again next week as we review and forecast the next week's price action. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And thank you everybody for joining us.